Let's start my presentation, right? Before digging into the formal presentation, I would really appreciate the work TensorFlow User Group Islamabad chapter is doing when they invited me. So this is, the standard. I just search about them and how they are working. So I found them very interesting. They are covering so many topics, and personally I think it's very mandatory. For youth of our country. To make them aware regarding the state of the art technologies, right? So I really appreciate their work, and I feel I will be in touch with them in the future to help them in any direction, right? So before the topic, I can present the topic. I will first introduce myself. My brief introduction is currently I am serving as a lecturer at Department of Software Engineering, FAST University Islamabad Campus. And there are so many courses I am currently teaching, right? But my expertise lies in MLOps. I usually teach MLOps to final year students, where I express how they can deploy their machine learning system onto the production, and how it is different from a traditional system, right? So the course content primarily lies around these topics, right? And along with it, I'm leading multiple teams in artificial intelligence machine learning research lab, where we collaborate with different industrial partners and we work on different areas, right? Currently, state of the art area is generative AI, so we are applying generative AI in different domains, right? Currently, I have a project which I'm currently working on, that is, mm, exploring generative AI, utilizing generative AI to assess software testing, right? So there are so many other projects, right? As far as my previous experience is concerned, so I have worked with different organizations, right? And different technology stack on different projects. I have worked with the organization as a backend engineer, right? My core responsibility used to be like planning, creating, and then implementing the backend APIs and making it into the production, and trying to make it available to the front end team, right? So this is my primarily introduction. The current if I talk about the current context, so currently we are here. We are here to share information regarding how we can convert our thoughts from traditional systems into machine learning systems. Specifically, we will be talking about how deployments of machine learning system is different from deployment of traditional systems. Before making scrutiny of this specific topic, I will try to differentiate each of the term that I have written in the slides. I will provide the complete difference between what is traditional system, what is machine learning systems, how these systems are different, and what are the extra parameters, or you can say what are the extra phases that you can incorporate to make ML systems into the production. So the subtopics that is going to be covered in this presentation is, as I already mentioned, I will be describing how traditional system is different from ML systems, and then what are the possible challenges, and what are the possible solutions, for that are associated with, when it comes to deploying machine learning systems, right? And last but not the least, we are here under the umbrella of Google's community. So I will be I have already added a slide where I will be letting you know how Google is incorporating society in terms of ML deployment, like what are their contributions to the society in terms of MLOps, right? So before starting the core topic, I just want to know from my audience, if someone asks you what is software development, so what would be your possible answer? Can any one of you let me know what is your thought regarding software development? Like what possible phases that you can incorporate in order to complete the whole process of software development? Can anyone please voluntarily tell me? Is there anyone? Mr. Ali, if you could please assist us.
If anyone wants to answer, they can unmute their mic.
Okay, so let me tell you. So this is the complete diagram, right? I'm not sure whether you guys are from industry, you guys are from student, but I'm considering you all are student, right? When you get a chance to work with the professional company, and you will see how they evolve software development process, right? Basically, all story starts from planning. You guys might have listened about requirements engineering, right? So initial step is to interact with your clients, your potential clients, and ask them the right question. Like this is basically the phase of requirements engineering. Once you get a requirements, you perform proper analysis on it, right? Like there may be so many requirements that could not match your budget, your technical aspect, your time duration. So you perform proper analysis by considering so many standards, right? Once analysis are done, then you perform designing. You might have listened of UML diagrams, right? You design UML diagrams considering the analyzed requirements. Once UML diagrams are designed, then you are supposed to implement those requirements, right? Considering any of the programming language, right? So once those requirements are constructed, are designed, are developed, then the next step would be to test, the implemented features, whether they are where they are matching the user expectation or not. Once the testing process is done, then you are supposed to integrate it into the system where user can interact with, and user can use it for their daily purposes, right? And along with it, you will perform some steps that would, you call it as a maintenance step, right? There is possibility when user start your system and their real-time use case, so there is possibility of so many bugs, right? So there would be so many parameters that you would make sure that the system might work, that, or in other words, the system should work an error-free environment, right? So this is basically the complete flow of software development, right? You can see in the middle I have right software development life cycle. If you go to Facebook, if you go to Google, if you go to Amazon, whatever the companies, whatever the scale is, so you will find these phases, when it comes to software development. So there are so many problems that are associated with implementing software projects, right? The first problem is manual deployment, right? Mostly when software engineers are implementing any of the requirements, so they usually do it on their local system, right? But they are supposed to deploy their implemented requirements into the production, so user can use it for their real world use cases. So most of the time, each and everything happens as a manual, right? Manual means there is no standard way, there is no monolithic a kind of dashboard where you can compile your requirements, where you can analyze your requirements, where you can design, and then where you can start implementing, and moreover you can test, and then you can deploy. So the whole process take place manually, and it really generates so many problems, right? It really takes long time as usual. Like as I share my story, when I was doing my final year project back in 2017 and 2018. So there used to be, we were a team of 3 people, and we have divided our complete project into smaller chunks, and we assign different tasks to each member. So we used to, integrate our system in a USB and a Gmail, and it really created so many problems, compatibility problems. And the major problem used to be, if a bug occurs, so we will not have any any standards where we can analyze who has created on this specific feature, right? So there were so many problems, right? People in the past phase, so they said, and they decided that we need to have a practice where we can deploy automatically, and we deploy with a single button, right? And there would be transparency. If there is a bug in a specific feature, so we will know who is the right person to concern, right? Instead, to communicate with the whole team, and the whole team start exploring what's the problem is. I'm sure you guys are getting. So what they ended up, they proposed a practice that they called it as a term as DevOps, right? So basically, the motivation behind DevOps is, when you start working on requirements, so you do one-time investment, right? And that led you to continuously integrate your requirements into production, and then you deliver your continuous implemented feature, on the large scale, right? The main motivation behind DevOps is to frequently deliver apps, you can say deliver new features to customer through proper automation, right? And the process of software development, right? In the past, there used to be 2 teams, right? The first team would be would responsible for implementing the features, and the second team that we used to call it as a IT administrators. Being a developer, when I used to implement a feature, so I used to call IT administrator, and that I have implemented the feature, and you are supposed to deploy it on a server. So there used to be a lot of communication gaps. So because of DevOps, all these issues are now resolved, right? So this is diagrammatically, if someone asks you what basically continuous integration is, what's the difference between CI, CD, and primarily when I teach these terminologies to my students, so students really get confused in differentiating between continuous delivery and continuous deployment. So with the help of these diagram, I can show you, you guys would have a proper understanding. Continuous integration basically promotes building of new feature, right? Once building is done, then you are supposed to perform testing, right? By testing, I mean you have written your unit testing by utilizing, any of the automation testing package. You can call it JUnit test, Selenium, PyTest. There are so many. Once your feature is tested automatically, you are supposed to merge it. So these phases, you call it continuous integration, right? Once you merge it into the new environment, that process basically calls it continuous delivery. Makes sense? Once delivery is done, so SQA team gives you a green signal that each and everything is working, then you create, right, a release, right? And then release is supposed to be deployed at the production, and that process is called continuous deployment, right? To make these things more understandable, usually when you get a chance to work with any of the professional organization, so they usually promote 3 different environments, right? The first environment basically promotes development, right? When software developers work, implement new features, so they are supposed to integrate those features on a development environment. Once feature gets completed, so they are supposed to deliver or deploy that specific feature into the testing environment, right? And testing environment is where software quality assurance team interact. They do proper regression testing, and they do each and everything. They mimic themselves as a actual user. Once they give you a green signal, so software, or you can say the project manager, deploy the complete feature into the production where actual users are supposed to interact with your system. So this is the complete overview of CI/CD, right? Moreover, this is another diagram where planning gets started, right? By planning, I mean requirements engineering. Once requirements are cleared, are analyzed, you are supposed to start implementing, start converting that requirements into the into the coding form. Once coding is done, you are supposed to build it. By building, I mean when you are coding, so you usually need so many packages. If you are working with the any of the banking system, so you will surely need a payment module, right? So there are so many libraries that you can utilize for payment related purposes. So once you perform building, it means fetching payment module and integrating it with your code. Once this process is done, right, you are supposed to perform proper testing. Once testing is done, you release your complete feature, right, into another environment. Consider SQA environment. Once SQA team gives you a green signal that the feature is properly working, you deploy it into the production, by utilizing so many operationalization practices, right? Once it gets into the production, so you are supposed to monitor it, right? Once like monitoring is done for the purpose, if there is a bug, so you can catch the bug, and then you start planning for that bug, you start implementing that bug, you start building that implemented bug, and then the whole process continues. So this is why DevOps, the second name of DevOps is continuous integration and continuous deployment. Make sense, right? So this is the complete tool stack, right? There is, if you get a chance and study any of the research articles regarding DevOps, right? So you will find so many challenges, right? One of the challenges that industrial practitioners face is selection of right tools, right? So there are so many tools. If you talk about planning, so you will find a bunch of tools. You can use Google Drive, you can use Google Docs, you can use Jira, you can use Trello, you can use any of them, right? So for planning, you have so many varieties. Along with building, there are so many tools, right? NPM is one of them, right? GitHub is one of them, Sonatype, GitLab. There are so many things, right? Once building is done, so you are supposed to perform continuous integration. The most frequently used tool for continuous integration is Jenkins, and this is the tool that I really appreciate, and it has so many potential. I have personally worked on it, and I personally teach it in my MLOps course, right? And once integration is done, so you are supposed to deploy it on any of the platform, right? The most premier platforms and nowadays are Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and last but not the least, that is Google Cloud Platform. And depending upon multiple parameters, people are mostly using these platforms, right? Once deployment is done, you are supposed to operationalize, right? Operationalization means writing scripts. If there is a bug, it should send an email to the team lead by awareing him that there is a bug at production, and you are supposed to take actions on a short notice, right? So this is the complete story regarding DevOps. Make sense? But nowadays we are facing we are having a surge of machine learning systems. You can go everywhere. You can go to hospital, you can sit in your car, you can do shopping, you will find surely machine learning, right? I mean, machine learning is everywhere. Like currently, if I say our life is completely dependent on machine learning system nowadays, so it would not be considered as a lie, right? So there are so many use cases of machine learning systems, right? So this is the current state of machine learning system. I have compiled some of the statistics from one of the sources, I have found. In the last decade, people mostly focused on building models, right? I remember when I started bachelor's back in 2014. So I used to listen from my teachers. They are doing PhDs in machine learning. They used to tell us that they are training ML models for specific use cases. And at that time, it was a kind of word for us. Ke, yaar, machine learning bhi koi cheez hai, ye bhi hum seekhenge, right? Development was in the market, but operationalization was not in the market, right? Like people, when you ask them about how you make your ML models into the production, so there used to be always a silence from the technology giants, right? But today 53% of proof of concepts makes it to the production, thanks to our researchers. They have proposed so many you can say approaches which we can utilize, and we can make ML models into the production, right? But the statistics mentions in the last that end of 2024, there would be an increase in this specific number. Like 75% of the ML models will make it into the production, right? So currently, so many researchers, I usually work with them, and I can see so many researchers who are still working on exploring how they can make ML operationalization, more optimized, right? So before differentiating between traditional systems, or in other words, before introducing you with the new concept MLOps, I just want to know, if someone asks you what's the difference between traditional systems and ML systems, like in other words, what is traditional system? Can any one of you tell me about traditional system, how it differs from ML systems? Can anyone voluntarily tell me, please? Mr. Really, can you assist audience so they can ask me a question?
If anyone wants to answer, they can kindly unmute their voice and just answer.
Sir, ML system include ML models, I mean machine learning models, and traditional systems at that time, machine learning was not that much in the market, so those were called traditional systems, simple web systems, I guess.
Makes sense. Somehow it is, like if someone asks you when you are supposed to do archery, right? So there is a bullseye. You are answering me correctly, but you are not hitting the bullseye. So your answer is almost, you can say 50 to 60% correct, right? So let me tell you what's the correct answer, right? Traditional system basically comprises four different operations, right? That is creating, right, reading, updating, and then deleting. That we call it, CRUD operations, right? But when it comes to machine learning systems, so it really comprises CRUD operations, but it comprises some additional artifacts as well, and that is data set plus model, right? Like if in DevOps we usually focus on code, right? We do versioning of code, right? We do logging of code. We try to make sure the quality of a code. But when it comes to ML system, so along with the code, you are supposed to provide some extra measurements for data set, for model, to make your complete project more transparent, right? So this is the difference, right? People shifted from DevOps to MLOps because of the additional artifacts, right? If someone asks you what is MLOps, so you can just call it in a single line that it is an acronym of machine learning operation, and in other words, applying DevOps practices to automate the process of machine learning system. People often ask me this basic question, but I usually answer them in a way that extension to DevOps is basically MLOps, right? DevOps primarily focuses on traditional system, while MLOps focuses on MLOps system. Like there are certain extra steps that you incorporate in DevOps, and it makes DevOps as a MLOps, right? So, can anyone tell me why people are adopting MLOps, not DevOps? By the way, I have answered this question, but I just want to know how you people are attentively attending my presentation. Can anyone tell me what's the reason behind why MLOps, not DevOps?
Sir, due to the era of AI.
Due to the era of AI, due to the additional artifacts, right? That is data set and model, right? So this is basically MLOps, right? MLOps is basically a combination of multiple areas, right? Means MLOps incorporates pipelines for data, engineering the data, right? Once data is engineered, you are supposed to train machine learning model on that specific data, right? Once machine learning model is trained, you are supposed to deploy that model to the production by utilizing DevOps, so people can use that specific model, right? So this is the complete diagram. Another diagram, like you do proper planning, right? You create user stories, you create data from multiple sources, you construct model, you verify model, you package the model, you create a release of that model, right? Release and configuration means deployment into the production, right? Once it is deployed, you continuously monitor that deployed model. If it creates any of the bug, any problem, right, then you start planning, you creating you start working on that generated bug, and the whole story continues. So this is basically applying CI/CD practices to ML systems, continuous integration, continuous deployment into ML system makes it to MLOps. Make sense? This is another diagram, right? More design. You are supposed to engineer requirements. You are supposed to prioritize multiple use cases. You are supposed to uh, plain data, what are the possible sources that you gonna incorporate in specific use case. Once data is here, requirements are clear, you are supposed to develop the model. Once model is developed, once model is evaluated, you are supposed to operationalize is into the production, right? If it creates any of the bug at production, so the process executes again, right? So this is the difference, right? There are multiple steps that usually involves in DevOps, right? So code versioning is something that you will see in DevOps and MLOps, right? Compute environment, I mean, when you are running, you are training your system, so you will need to have a compute environment. By compute environment, you can relate compute environment with the production servers as well. So production servers are required in DevOps and MLOps as well. CI/CD practices are common across DevOps and MLOps, but there are certain things that are in MLOps but not in DevOps. That are dataset and models, hyperparameters tuning, matrices for evaluating the models and the dataset, and then creating the workflows, right, to make your model into the production in more optimized way, right? So this is the complete tool stack, right? If you are incorporating if you are supposed to engineer data pipelines, right? If you are tasked to create workflows for data, collecting data from multiple sources and making it into the streamlined manner, so you will find so many tools, DVC. People mostly use DVC, for versioning data sets. Airflow for creating DAGs, directed acyclic graphs for automated workflows. And there are so many storages, most of the time I personally work with Amazon S3. Makes sense? And for training and evaluation, you will find so many IDEs, so many packages, so many other tools, right? And for deployment, most probably you will see Kubernetes, you will see GCP, Vertex AI, you will see Amazon Web Services, right? So the ground is clear, and it totally depends on your expertise. What tools suits your expertise and which tools you are feeling confident to work in, right? So last but not the least, how Google is contributing to ML deployments, right? Personally, like this is obvious. MLOps is a field that so many questions are still not answerable, right? People from giant, you can say from giant software companies are still mentioning that this is the problem that we are facing. We want to have a team. We want to have a team where we can invest and they can provide us answer on this, for this specific problem. Currently, if I talk about LLMs, so mostly LLMs requires, high infrastructure, high cost. So the objective of MLOps is, to reduce cost, to utilize infrastructure environment more efficiently. So these are the things that are still unanswerable, right? But still Google is contributing, right? Google is contributing in multiple ways. The main contribution is if you search on Google, on YouTube, MLOps and GCP. So you will find so many podcasts, you will find so many series where software engineers from Google, they are aware people about multiple challenges that one can face and their respective solution, right? They are conducting so many sessions, and along with session they are providing so many handbooks, right? Where you can learn about basic ideas, right? Where you can learn how you can implement MLOps pipeline in your local system and make it as a your portfolio project, right? And along with it, Google has proposed multiple levels, right? Upon those levels, one can assess their maturity levels, right? Like Google has proposed three different levels. That is Google maturity level 0, where they provided so many guidelines. If there's a company who is providing services in machine learning, and each process is happening manual, so they call their maturity as a level 0 MLOps. Like they lie at level 0 in terms of MLOps, right? If there is in any organization, right, and they are automating their data engineering pipeline, so they call it as a MLOps level 1. Like their maturity in terms of MLOps is 1, right? If each and everything is automated, you just need to have one click, right? And each and everything will happen automatically. So Google term that organization as a level 2, right? And this is something, personally my information is concerned, so there are very less number of organization who are at level 2, and still they are facing problems. Last but not the least, Google has a strong platform, a strong cloud platform that they call it GCP. GCP stands for Google Cloud Platform, and they provide so many services. They provide VMs, they provide automated functions, they provide so many things. And among those services, there is a single service that is Vertex AI. So there are so many things one can do while utilizing Vertex AI. Vertex AI provides you built-in IDs. Vertex AI provides you built-in models. Vertex AI provides you a single button where you can deploy your complete ML model into the production, where you can provide complete inference, to your user, and they can interact with your model. They can provide parameters, they can provide approaches where you can log each activity that is happening in your model, how people are interacting, what are the output people are getting, how the accuracy of your model evolves throughout the day, throughout the month. So there are so many things, right? I have seen so many organizations who is already utilizing Vertex AI for their MLOps use cases, right? And there are some other contribution as well. And personally, by considering your knowledge, audience knowledge, I have compiled these contributions, right? So this is what from my side, right? If you guys have any question regarding DevOps, regarding MLOps, so I'm here, I can assist you. Thank you so much.
Excuse me, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Ji walaikum salam.
Sir, let's say if someone is pursuing AI, artificial intelligence, so it is necessary to learn about DevOps as well.
If you are asking me this question by considering yourself as a AI expert, right? So you can replace DevOps as MLOps, right? Personally, when I teach my MLOps subject to my students, so I really motivate them to have at least one MLOps project in your resume, right? And it will really gives you an edge comparing other university graduates. So personally, if you are seeking if you are seeking yourself as a AI expert in upcoming years, so you will really need to have basic knowledge of MLOps.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Anyone else with any question, please?
सर अगर कोई स्टूडेंट स्टार्ट करना चाहता है डिप्लॉयमेंट से, तो वो उसके लिए ज़रूरी है कि वो पहले डेवऑप्स से स्टार्ट करे या वो एमएल ऑप्स से डायरेक्ट स्टार्ट कर सकता है?
अच्छा बच्चे, ये सवाल भी मुझसे बड़ा पूछा जाता है, ठीक है? लाइक at the start of semester, so many students approach me and ask me, is DevOps mandatory for MLOps? So I personally, the way I have designed my course content, so I personally covers DevOps, right? I basically start from the cores of DevOps, and then I move my objective. Yeah, I shift my objective towards MLOps. So basically, if you are learning MLOps, so it is mandatory, right? You need to have some DevOps skills as well. Ali, I cannot see. Can you please read that question for me? Someone has, I think, message down in the chat.
How much time would meeting take to get completed? It's about to end. Just we have Q&A sessions.
Yeah. Is there any question? Please, जितना आप लोग पूछेंगे.
Yes, sir. And my name is Munshi and I'm a student. Sir, I want to know that I'm currently trying to learn machine learning models like PCA and SUV and QLA. And so, what should be the right way to learn machine learning models? And like, I know that the model is more correct, but another is more the best program is trying to run the many and so what is your appropriate way to learn machine learning models?
हसीब, आई एम एक्सट्रीमली सॉरी बच्चे, आपकी आवाज की मुझे तो समझ नहीं है. आई डोंट नो अबाउट अदर ऑडियंस, बट एटलीस्ट मुझे समझ नहीं है.
हसीब, आप काइंडली मैसेज कर दें तो मैं सर से पूछ लेता हूँ.
जी जी बिल्कुल, ऐसे ही.
सर आप कोई सर्टिफिकेशन सजेस्ट कर सकते हैं इसकी एमएल ऑप्स की, जस्ट टू स्टार्ट इट विद?
बच्चे, MLOps की ऐसी कोई सर्टिफिकेशन नहीं है. लाइक आई एम नॉट एबल टू सी एनी सर्टिफिकेशन फ्रॉम फ्रॉम Amazon या फ्रॉम जीसीपी, जितना मुझे पता है, ठीक है, मतलब जितना मुझे आइडिया है। तो पर्सनली यूडेमी के ऊपर बहुत सारे कोर्सेज लोगों ने बनाए हुए हैं जो आप लोग कर सकते हो, जहां से आप लोग मतलब किक स्टार्ट ले सकते हो कि भाई आपको MLOps का हाउ नो पता चल जाएगा कि भाई हाउ MLOps वर्क्स। बाकी डेवऑप्स की सर्टिफिकेशंस है वो आप लोग कर सकते हो, लेकिन आई एम नॉट श्योर अबाउट इट्स कंटेंट, राइट? So I have to check their content and then I would be able to answer you perfectly. Is there anyone, Mr. Ali? आपकी माइक ऑफ जा रही है।
I think Hasib is typing, so we can wait 1 to 2 minutes more. If
अच्छा सर, फ्री कोर्सेज कहाँ से कर सकते हैं? देखें, मेरी बात सुने। आप YouTube पे जाएंगे ना, ठीक है, और YouTube पे लिखेंगे कि MLOps रोड में, राइट? तो आपको बहुत सारे यूट्यूबर्स मिलेंगे। पर्सनली यही सवाल अगर लोग मुझसे पूछते हैं तो मैं इनको बता दूं, बेशक आप लोग राइट डाउन करें, ठीक है? आप लोग स्टार्ट कहाँ से लें? गिटहब से लें, राइट? फिर गिटहब एक्शंस को यूटिलाइज करें। ये सारी चीजें जो है क्या कहते हैं उसको, फ्री पड़ी हुई है, ठीक है? गिटहब एक्शंस के बाद आप लोग जेनकिंस पे जाएं, जेनकिंस के बाद आप लोग डॉकर्स को यूटिलाइज करें, डॉकर्स के बाद क्यूबरनेटिस करें, क्यूबरनेटिस हो जाए तो फिर एयरफ्लो, ठीक है, ML फ्लो, डीवीसी और कोई AWS या GCP का कोई भी सर्विस उठा ले, आप प्रोजेक्ट को उसके ऊपर डिप्लॉय करें। तो अगर एक पूरा पाइपलाइन आप इस तरह बनाएंगे, ठीक है, तो ये आपका पोर्टफोलियो प्रोजेक्ट बन सकेगा, मेरा ख्याल है। और ये सारी फ्री सोर्सेज पड़ी हुई है, ठीक है? मैं कोर्स में भी जब पढ़ाता हूँ तो मेरी कोशिश यही होती है कि मैं उन टूल्स को यूटिलाइज करूँ, राइट, जो फ्री हो, क्योंकि बच्चों को ज्यादातर यही प्रॉब्लम्स आते हैं कि सर सब्सक्रिप्शन नहीं है, हमारा टाइम ज्यादा यूज हो रहा है, ये और वो। तो मेरी कोशिश यही होती है कि मैं उन टूल्स को प्रमोट करूँ, उन टूल्स के ऊपर बात करूँ जो फ्री अवेलेबल हो।
I can add one more thing. If you go to YouTube and search for MLOps and try to filter the playlist section, you will find most of the playlists which are only for MLOps. तो उधर से भी फ्री मिल सकता है कंटेंट आपको। और
ऐसे
सर, असीब ने क्वेश्चन किया है कि I am currently trying to learn ML models like PCA, SVD, image processing. So I don't know as a student what are the more robust algorithms for ML models. So what should be the right ways to learn these models? As a student, what should be my approach toward learning these models?
अच्छा अच्छा हसीब बच्चे, ये प्रॉब्लम मुझे भी आते हैं, ठीक है? मैं जब ऐसा कोई यूज केस के ऊपर काम करने लगता हूँ तो यही प्रॉब्लम मुझे भी आते हैं कि भाई मुझे कौन सा मॉडल यूटिलाइज करना चाहिए। इस केस में मैं ये करता हूँ कि मैं अपने डेटा को देखता हूँ कि मेरा डेटा जो है वो किस नेचर का है, कि वेदर इट्स न्यूमेरिकल, इट्स टेक्सचुअल, इट्स इमेज डेटा, इट्स वीडियो डेटा। तो फिर मैं चेक करता हूँ कि लोगों ने जो इमेज के ऊपर काम किया हुआ है, ठीक है, तो उन्होंने कौन कौन से मॉडल्स यूज किए हुए हैं, ठीक है? तो उसमें जिन मॉडल्स की एफिशिएंसी किसी स्पेसिफिक थ्रेशोल्ड से ज्यादा होती है तो फिर मैं उन्हीं मॉडल्स को ही मतलब यूटिलाइज करता हूँ, क्योंकि कंसीडरिंग माय क्या कहते हैं वो, जिस तरह कहते हैं ना कि भाई ये हदीस जो है ज़ईफ है या ये हदीस जो है बड़ी सही हदीस है, मैं पिछला उसका वो चेक करता हूँ कि भाई इस फलाने बंदे ने इसके ऊपर काम किया है तो मैं भी काम करूंगा और इसकी एफिशिएंसी अच्छी आएगी। तो दिस टेक्निक रियली वर्किंग फॉर मी, सो आई रियली रिकमेंड यू कि आप भी इसको इसी तरह किया करें, लोगों के पॉडकास्ट देखा करें, आर्टिकल्स देखा करें, medium.com पे जाया करें, रिसर्च पेपर्स पढ़ा करें, वहां से आपको पता चल जाएगा।
What should be way to learn like any books or resources?
हाँ हाँ बच्चों, एक बात ये भी याद रखो आप लोग कि आप लोग जो भी फील्ड एक्सप्लोर करना चाहते हो ना, ठीक है, तो मेरा मशवरा आप लोग को यही है कि पहले उस फील्ड का एक बुक स्पेसिफिकली आप पढ़ो, कि आप लोगों को पता पता हो जाए कि भाई ये स्पेसिफिक फील्ड जो है इसमें क्या क्या चीज़ एग्जिस्ट करती है। मतलब आपको एक ब्रॉडर इमेज मिल जाता है कि भाई अच्छा इसमें ये भी एक यूज केस है, इसमें ये भी एक फीचर है, ये भी एक फीचर है। उसमें जिस चीज में भी आपका इंटरेस्ट बिल्ड हो जाए, मेक सेंस, ठीक है, उसको फिर आप इधर उधर से सीखो और अपना नॉलेज बेस उसके अगेंस्ट क्या करो और एक्सप्लोर करो या और एक्सपोज करो, राइट?
So I think that's all. Thank you everyone for joining our ML Study Jams Day 10. Thank you, sir, for your time and insights. So your participation is what makes these events great. We look forward to seeing you at our next session. Keep learning and stay connected. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bachchan. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum.